Hi, I'm Kelly Bassetti Primo, and welcome to my podcast, Learning Curves, where I bring the small business community direct to you. In my podcast, Learning Curves, we learn about all the unique services that businesses have to offer, and we also learn about the different challenges that businesses go through. In times, businesses go through several different ups and downs, and we talk about the learning curves that we all go through and how we address those. I hope you enjoy my podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Learning Curves. I am really excited today about our podcast. This is the real estate edition of my podcast, Learning Curves. As you all know, I interview several different people from real estate, whether it be home builders, developers, marketing. Today, I have a special guest here, Mr. Don Hill.
Got it.
Joining me from Tampa Bay Real Producers, and all my real estate friends out there, this is a treat for you. You definitely need to listen to this episode because you're going to get very excited when you hear about this magazine. Also, my builder friends, pay attention. You're going to want to be part of this. Anyway, can you start by telling me a little bit about what you do and about the magazine?
Yeah, for sure, Kelly, and I appreciate you inviting me to come on the show. I've heard some great things about it, so this is going to be fun. But Tampa Bay Real Producers is part of a national franchise model. Actually, there's about 110 different markets across the country. And so back in January of 2019, we launched the Tampa Bay Real Producer franchise model. And it's basically a platform that consists of the magazine, as you already mentioned, which is a monthly magazine that goes out to the top 500 real estate producers, residential producers. We don't focus much on the commercial side for now, but for residential retail agents that are out there hustling and bustling and building the real estate community. We feature them every single month in this monthly magazine, again, called Tampa Bay Real Producers. But we also host about 20 to 30 events a year. Fun social type events just to bring the top real estate agents together to network and build that community. But some of our events are monthly kind of educational panels just designed to add value and to give back to the community. And then, others are just smaller scale happy hours where we want to feature and kind of celebrate the people that have been featured in that month's issue, invite them out for some happy hours. So we have some great partners that support our platform. The unique things about what we do is everything is free to the real estate agent. We're not selling them anything, so they seem to really appreciate the fact that we're just adding value to the community. It's not a pay-to-play type program where they have to invest into being featured in our cover or any other spotlight that we do, and I think they appreciate that. It's solely based on their production. So if someone is a top 500 producer, and a little bit about just, I don't know if you want me to dive into some of the numbers and the stats and how that all works, but there is over, with the most recent list that we looked at for this year, we based the top 500 on the fact that 2022 just finished. Here we're in January of 2023. So there was over 15,000 licensed real estate agents in Tampa Bay who at least had one transaction last year. Right?
15,000 at least had one transaction. In Tampa Bay, which county is he referring to?
Referring to Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and Pasco County.
Okay, great.
So it's the Tri-County area is what we call it. That's really what Tampa Bay Real Producers is focused on.
That list is growing. I remember back when it was like 10,000. Now it's up to 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was actually over 23 last year. So it went down.
Really?
It went down a little bit, which, the market has changed a little bit as well this past year. So most of the top producers would say that's a good thing, is it's getting rid of some of the people that aren't really serious about the business. But still, over 15,000 agents that had at least one transaction, and the vast majority of those 15,000 had less than 5 total transactions for the year. So to be recognized as a top 500 producer, an agent would have had to do just over $11 million in volume last year. That was like the cutoff.
So starting at 11 million and going up from there.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So like the lowest audience member who would receive this magazine would have done about $11 million in volume last year. They averaged a little over 40 transactions per agent. When you look at the entire top 500 list and divide it out, they averaged about 40 transactions per agent.
For 1 year?
For 1 year.
That's incredible.
For this past year, 2022, the calendar year, correct.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, when you really dive into it, they represent a pretty big chunk of the entire Tampa Bay real estate market in terms of volume and production in that top 500 audience. It's the old Pareto principle, in effect, the 80-20 rule. It's really more like 90-10 here for the for real estate community. So I've loved the business. It's been a great way for me to get to know a lot of these top producers. It's a lot of fun. Real estate agents like to party and go to events and stuff of that nature. So we've made that fun, and I think they appreciate the opportunity to learn from each other. And one of the things I've noticed in real estate is so many of the things they go to are generally broker specific.
Yes.
Things like Keller Williams does their thing, Century 21 does their thing, Remax does their thing. And it's great, and they have their own brokerage awards, and they have their own brokerage events. But we're really one of the only platforms that I'm aware of that brings different top producers together from different brokerages, allows them to learn from other names that they know the names because they see them on the MLS and they see them signs all over the place, but they don't really get a chance very often to actually connect and network with the other top producers from these other brokerages. And so our events is one of the unique ways that we can do that, and I think that's been a real value add that we brought to the community.
I love that because I know there's all different types of events that are happening, from GTAR to, like a lot of my builder clients, they like to host events.
Yep.
But a lot of times I'm not necessarily sure if you're seeing the top producers at some of those events because I'm sure they're busy selling. Right. But it's nice that you have something for them to make them feel that, hey, I'm really good at what I do, and they're getting awarded for that.
Yeah, I think so. I think honestly, a lot of the agents get invited to stuff constantly, and if they're going to go to everything, they're not going to have time to actually run their business, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
There's definitely a challenge, I would say. That's one of the things I hear commonly from our partners on the vendor side, because as I was mentioning earlier, in order for us to pay for all of this, we partner with a lot of real estate mortgage lenders, title companies, home inspectors, custom home builders, people that are movers, stagers, whoever is the real partners that make the real estate agent do their jobs successfully, right, and work well together with them. So that's how we pay for the magazine. That's how we sponsor a lot of our events. Everything that we bring in terms of the community is really done through these partnerships.
And they're looking for a way to get in front of the realtors.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not easy
the value.
to.
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of the common things we hear is like, there are so many ways for these partners to try to invest their resources into ways to meet great agents and develop true relationships with agents. But a lot of the things that they go to, they don't really know. As you said, like, does this agent even produce? Like, am I actually investing in the right community and the right people? And I think a lot of our partners appreciate that every time they come to one of our events, they know that it's going to be geared for top 500 producers, so that every dollar they choose to invest is invested in that audience.
That's great. So at these events that you have, your partners are invited to come and network as well. Yeah,
absolutely. We have different types of events. Some of them are smaller scale. Like I mentioned, the happy hour earlier, and that one usually only has up to like 5 partners that we, hand select, and 1 per industry. And so we rotate, certain partners in that. But there are some bigger scale events that we host. We just did an event, actually, like a ugly holiday sweater party in December last month, and that was an open invite for any partner, to come to. This coming year, we have an event we're excited about on March 2nd called our Agent Choice Awards.
Right.
We did this last year. We actually, it was really fun. For about a month, we had an online nomination process where agents got to nominate their peers for all these different categories, such as Real Producer of the Year, male and female, Rising Star of the Year, male and female, Broker of the Year, male and female, and then things like Leadership Awards and Making a Difference in the Community and Social Media Superstars and all these different categories.
I love that.
It was a lot of fun, and you can see a lot of those on our Facebook page, actually, too. There's a bunch of pictures of the event last year.
So how do people vote for something like that?
So last year, it was just all on the viral. It was all on just people sharing it. That's the beauty of it. That's why we call it the Agent Choice Awards.
Right.
It was agents voting for their peers in these different categories. And then we had a couple of weeks where the nomination process started. And then based on votes, we identified at least usually 4 to 5 finalists in each category. And then we had another voting process just on those finalists, right? And then we awarded the winners at the event, which last year was in late March. So it'll be the same venue this year, the Vault in downtown Tampa, which is a great venue. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Mm-hmm. It worked well last year for us. So we'll do that again, coming up again on March 2nd this year. And
you usually have almost all agents in attendance for an event like that?
We did. We had over 200 agents there last year. Mm-hmm. You know, we have about 50, close to 50 partners right now in Tampa Bay Real Producers. Again, those partners are made up of people in different industries, right. Some of which I already mentioned. And so I think last year we had a total of like 260 people in attendance, and about 220 of them were agents. You know, so definitely, you know, very agent heavy at this event, and at, you know, really all the events that we host on the bigger scale like that.
That's great. Mm-hmm. So if I'm one of your agents and you feature me in this magazine, like what I know you have all the different, you have maybe 10 that you feature every single.
Yeah, it'll vary every month. Mm-hmm. It usually will be like 4 to 8 typically.
4 to 8, okay.
There's some common sections that we do pretty much every month, which is the cover story is obviously a spot that everybody wants. The cover story is usually exclusive to agents that are top 100 producers in the market. So as you can tell, there's only 12 months of the year. We can only do 12 covers a year. Everybody always wants that, but we kind of keep that exclusive to the top 100 producers. Sometimes it will be like a broker or a team leader that'll be on our cover as well. So it's not just an individual agent that's always on every cover. As you'll see, like you were looking at there, this is one of our issues, and you'll see here just from the last 12 months, there are some individual agents on here, like Eric Dungy, for example, as an individual agent with Compass, or a Jennifer Thayer, who's a great producer with Keller Williams in downtown St. Pete as an individual agent. But there's also teams on here like Vanessa Leonard and her group, or Annie Rocks and her group, and as well as top brokers like a Joe LaCicero, who runs Realty 54 right now. And so there will be some different, makeups there as far as who makes the top covers. And then in most issues, we have a rising star as well that represents somebody who is in their first 5 years in real estate. They're an up-and-comer. They've broken the top 500 or they're right on the verge of. Mm-hmm. And so we usually spotlight them and hear their story as how they've been successful as quickly as they have. We also will spotlight, brokers or team leaders usually every month and have a different spotlight on them, as well as a section that we call Making a Difference, which is typically going to be some nonprofit organization that a top producer is affiliated with, and we'll tell that story and why they love that, why they're passionate about that cause, and so we'll tell that story as well.
Oh, wow. And the top producer, and I love that you also look at the younger members. Yeah. And write an article about them. If you're,
we try to do both, because we actually also spotlight a section that we call the icon or the local legends section, which is usually the opposite of the rising star. It's the rising star. It's the group that have been here over 25 years. So we have a local legends section, which are the 25-year plus agents, and then we have a rising star section, which is like less than 5 years.
Okay.
In the business. So yeah.
That's nice. Do you have a kind of a competition between the brokerages also, like the top 20 that you talk about in your magazine? Or
I think there's a lot of competition in
the
real estate community.
Or do you just feature them? Yeah.
We basically just feature them.
Okay.
The MLS obviously is where a lot of those competitions are going to be housed and going to be listed. So we haven't done anything yet in terms of creating like a general competitive list that could be seen in the magazine or online.
Yeah, kind of like the list.
But we're always evolving with good ideas, so we'll see what happens this year and beyond.
We'll see what happens. I love it. What kind of other articles do you do other than the ones you just mentioned?
I think what makes our overall magazine unique is that it's not really a real estate magazine, as far as it's not about their listings and how much they've sold, right? Each individual article is about their story. And I think that's what people like, is the story, right? Yes. They get passionate about why somebody and how somebody has become a top producer. So you'll notice if you read the article that it's usually about their background, their family, their hobbies, what drove them to get into real estate, what were the challenges that they experienced as they were growing their business, how have they maintained success, I think the personal profile pieces, people have told me it's very much like a people's magazine, but for real estate agents.
Right.
Right. So that's
an opportunity for agents to learn from each other.
I think so. And really, if you look at one of the things I get common feedback about is agents find that if they know the real estate agent on the other side of their transactions, the chances of those deals falling through are much less likely, right? So if they have a relationship, even if it's from another brokerage and some other agent, but they know that they're a top producer, they know they've done good work, they know that they can trust that that person knows what they're doing, right? And if they have that relationship, those deals just go smoother. They tend to get, which is what everybody wants, get to the closing table, get everybody, taken care of, make sure the customer gets what they want,
yes,
and is happy about the home. And of course, the agent deserves to be paid for their service. So everybody working together in that side is really one of the principal foundations as to why Real Producers exists. We've thought that there was a niche there where, it is an extremely competitive industry. And sometimes in competitive industries, you can view somebody else as the competition, right?
Yes.
But I think we really try to collaborate more than we do just compete and create an environment where people view other top producing agents as a collaborative partner, right? Mm-hmm. In getting the real goal, which is to get to the closing table and make sure everybody's happy.
That's right. I love that. Along with the magazine, is there an online side of this?
Yeah, so the magazine that you're holding is a physical magazine that gets distributed to the top 500 producers every month. So if you're not receiving and you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering why, probably because the numbers we have anyway, the list that we get through the MLS, didn't have you in the top 500 when we merged all 3 counties together. So we look at each individual county as its separate list, and then we look at it collectively as one total list, right? And then the top 500, ranked agents is who would be receiving the physical copy. However, we do have a digital version of the magazine that gets emailed out. We're in the process of actually tweaking that delivery mechanism this year for 2023. But what we've been doing is just sending it out as a PDF so that you can, go through it, you can read it, you can easily subscribe to it. You can do that on our website, which is tampabayrealproducers.com. You can reach out to us on Facebook. We do a lot of our stuff on Instagram and Facebook. Again, Tampa Bay Real Producers is where you'll find us on both platforms. And you can, if you're a real estate agent who would just like to receive the magazine, even if you're not featured in it yet, and I emphasize yet because the goal, I'm sure, would be to get featured in it.
Yeah.
You can email us or send us a direct message or reach out to us on social media, and we can get you on the list so you're at least getting the electronic version. Okay.
Nice. I think a lot of real estate agents would want to be on the electronic version just to learn about what these other agents are doing to be so successful.
Yeah, I agree. We get requests all the time from agents that want to start receiving it digitally. We also have we do one event series. We call it our Panel of Experts series, and we host that on the 3rd Thursday of each month. I was telling you earlier, we're hosting one this week actually at Whiskey Cake over in International Mall. And the topic this month is on how to be a consistent champion in any market, which I think is very relevant to what we're going through right now.
Yes,
so we have 4 great panelists that are going to be on this panel. Off the top of my head, Bobby Polini, I know, is one of them from eXp Realty, who's going to be joining us this week. Elizabeth Colon is another one from LPT Realty. She's going to be on our panel. Jared Rutherford, he's with Keller Williams. He runs a great team with him and his wife, Amber. They're going to be one of the panelists this Thursday as well. I think I'm forgetting one now off the top of my head, so I'm going to get yelled at, I'm sure. But yeah, so every month we run these panels, and we usually have 4 to 5 top producers on the panel. And this is open for any agent to come to. So it's really the only event. We host over 20 events a year, and most of them are exclusive to just top.
But the panels, anybody can come.
The panel, anybody can come. Yeah, and we do that purposely because we just view it as a way to give back to the community. Not everybody can be a panelist, obviously. Those are going to be the top 500 agents. But we want to open that up for any agent to come and ask questions and learn. And
that's a wonderful learning opportunity.
I think it has been, and we've been getting great feedback from the agents that have been there. We've been averaging probably around 75 to maybe, I think the most we've gotten is like 150 agents there, and it's run from 9:30 to noon. We usually have a luncheon tied into it there at the end. So yeah, I would recommend, come check it out. Again, you can follow, usually our RSVP links for those are all on our Facebook page, and you can follow us on Facebook and see the links, and then you can, show up to one and see what you think.
Nice. What are some of the other topics that you have scheduled for this year?
We have an entire list. Things like how to build a dynamic team is one of them. We actually are having a panel on how to utilize commercial opportunities within it. I've gotten that request from some residential agents to just learn more about the commercial side. So we're going to bring some specialists on talking about crushing commercial real estate.
Nice.
We're also doing a building wealth through real estate panel. Will be another one, which will have a little bit more of an investment angle, but that'll be a topic that we'll have. And we usually do a how to crush your local market, how to build your local brand, and build your business that way. I think next month we're actually having a rising star panel, which usually is going to be people that have been featured as rising stars in the magazine, who we'll invite on just to talk about their story and talk about, again, things that they've learned as to how to get off to a fast start, especially beneficial for newer agents that are wanting to get traction quickly, right? And so we'll have this rising star panel. We've been doing that for a few years now.
Those are all.
But there's one every month. So there's you can actually go to a website, TampaBayPanelOfExperts.com, and you can see all of the listings for the whole year. In fact, if you go to that website, TampaBayPanelOfExperts.com, you can actually nominate agents that you think would be great to be panelists. You can even nominate yourself if you want to. We would verify, the names and check out volume and see if somebody should legitimately be a panelist or not. But that website will allow you to see all the topics for the year and nominate anybody you'd want.
Oh, nice. I love that.
Thanks.
I want to come to one of your events.
Yeah, come this week. It'd be fun to have you.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love networking with the realtor community. Great people. And I have to say, let me just
say one thing, just to be clear. For the panels that we host, we do open them up for any agent, any real estate agent to be able to come, but we don't open that up for any just like vendor partner to come. So we definitely keep the exclusivity. I mean, there are vendor partners who obviously are paying us.
Advertising in the book.
Right. And they're the partners that make this happen, because without them, we can't do what we do. And so we really value those relationships. And so they know that when they come to our events, it's exclusive and something that only they're coming to with, of course, the agent attendees.
Do you offer sponsorship opportunities at these events?
Absolutely.
So along with advertising, like this event is sponsored by?
Correct. Yeah. Pretty much every event that we host has opportunities for sponsorships. We don't usually have outside sponsors that just do like the event and then we never hear from them again. Like, it's generally a partner who is already an existing client in Tampa Bay Real Producers, who we open up as the opportunity to sponsor these events. And it's worked well. I mean, that way, they're already part of the family, they're part of the community. They know that they're not just, honestly, every partner that we have in here, over 90% of them, when they first start up with us, sign on like 3-year partnerships with us from the beginning, just because they view this community as, is there really ever a time where I don't want to be in front of the top 500 agents? And they already know that's the right audience.
Yes.
And so we have different, levels of sponsorship that somebody can get involved with. But yeah, I mean, the goal of it is for it not just to be a, transactional relationship. At the end of the day, how this really works is people invest in building the true, like, personal relationships first.
Right.
And then the transactions always come after that.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see how a lot of people would want to be part of it. At CEA Marketing, we take your business, your passion, and your why, and we sell it. If you're unsure where to start marketing your company, CEA Marketing is here to help. Our team at CEA has tons of experience and top-notch training, which helps you take all the stress and confusion out of marketing your own business. After years of working with large companies like Pulte Homes and Metro Places, we guarantee the successful implementation of a marketing strategy. The magazine is really nice, well done. Like I said, I am in marketing, have a marketing company that works with builders and developers. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is something that is really nice. I mean, glossy, very luxury
Thank you.
magazine. So well done.
I can't take all the credit, but we have a great team. Like I said, it is a national franchise, so a lot of the actual production and creation of the magazine itself is done either in Wilmington, North Carolina, or in one of our warehouses in Texas, and then it's shipped out all over the country to the 110 different markets that we have throughout the U.S. right now.
Okay, because I know a lot of people that are listening are gonna want to know, hey, do we have this magazine in my area? So they could. Is there a website that they can go to find if there's a local
Well, the only way that they would be receiving the physical magazine is either going to be because they are a top 500 real estate agent.
Or what if I'm somebody that wants to advertise in this and I want to know if you're in my market?
Yeah, so what you would have to do is just check online. Typically, just Google, real producers in my area. Obviously, if you're local to Tampa Bay, then we're here, so we can talk to you about what those options would look like. But there is a list, and if you go to Facebook, there is a Real Producers Facebook page, which you would be able to find different markets and see like what markets exist that are out there. You can simply just Google Real Producers, and you'll be able to find all the different markets that are out there.
Okay, great. Because I know a lot of people that will be really excited about this.
Yeah, it'd be great, absolutely, and it really is a cool platform. It's a good niche. I think it's a lot of fun, for us as franchise owners. I've been in it now since 2019. The parent company who owns Real Producers, it's a company called N2.
Okay.
They actually started back in 2004. And they started not with Real Producers, but they started with neighborhood magazines, which they still own to this day. It's still a big part. That they've rebranded that niche, and they call it Stroll now, Stroll. But there's like... I think over 1,000 Stroll neighborhood magazines all throughout the country. And so when I first started with this company, I started with creating a magazine for the residents in Snell Isle, which is a great community in St. Petersburg.
Yep, familiar with it.
Yep. So there's like 2,000 homes there. We started interviewing the families that live in the neighborhood, and we created a neighborhood magazine. And we would do events at local restaurants to bring the residents out and all that. A couple years later, that was back in 2012. When I opened my first franchise. And then a couple years later, 2015, I opened my second franchise, which was in Tierra Verde, another great community.
Yes, it is.
In South Pinellas County. And so most of the communities that the parent company represents are designed to be targeting, in some ways, the affluent market. It's the middle class to upper middle class neighborhoods that they create these magazines for. But the story behind Real Producers was that we found as a company that we were, having top real estate agents were our number one client.
I bet they would love to advertise in a publication like that.
They farm so many of these neighborhoods, right? So
perfect for them.
Here we had over 1,000 great communities. Real estate agents by far were our best client. And so we started thinking, what if we created a product that would be for the agents that, can add value to them and tell their stories the same way that we tell these resident stories, right, of the neighborhoods. And so Real Producer started in Indianapolis, was our test market. One of the guys who was kind of the originator of the idea was from there, and so he started it with Indy Real Producers. His name is Remington Ramsey. He still owns that to this day. He's a friend of mine. Shout out to you, Remington. And so we started that, and it really took off. The agents loved it. The events were a hit. And so that was in 2014. So in basically almost 10 years, I guess 9 years now coming up, we've expanded it to 110 markets across the country. So for me personally,
that's impressive. Well done.
It's been fun. And, I always had really good relationships with my real estate agents that were my best clients in Snell Isle and also in Tierra Verde. And so when this became an opportunity for Tampa Bay, I was like, this is more down I always loved real estate. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 19 and got into real estate investing and just love everything about what real estate represents. So I ended up selling those two neighborhood franchises in order to focus my energy on Tampa Bay Real Producers. And again, that was back in, I started kind of getting this going in late 2018.
Okay.
And we launched it officially in January of 2019.
Nice.
So that's the story.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
What made you decide to get into franchising our magazine?
Well,
you always in?
My background is really as a 1099 sales professional has kind of been my niche. I used to sell Cutco Cutlery when I was a college student. Many people I know have heard of that, I think, out there. It's a great product made in America. And they do a ton of college student recruiting. So I ended up selling it for a summer, thinking it would just be a summer job for me to sell some knives and learn some things about sales. I was 19, and that turned into a 12-year career.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
I'm from the Northeast, so I grew up in Connecticut, and I ran a division eventually for this Cutco company. And so all of Connecticut and most of New York was my territory. And I recruited over 10,000 college students in about 12 years. Ran multiple offices. I eventually developed a team of management and leaders that I worked with and coached and supported them. And so it was an amazing experience, taught me a ton about business, about helping people and what it takes to develop an organization. And so
That's cool. Right out of college.
Yeah.
It was sales superstar.
Anyone who's out there who has college kids, I actually plug Cutco's program. I have 4 kids myself, but they're young. My oldest is only 8 years old, so we still have some time yet. But I'm a fan of their training programs. They teach some really fundamental stuff about sales and how to handle rejection and just the right mental makeup to be successful as far as what it takes, in my opinion, in business. And so they have a great training program for that. And the founders of this company, initially called N2, were old Cutco colleagues of mine. So they worked in a different part of the company, different part of the country, but they had left Cutco and opened this up way back in 2004. And so I had heard about it kind of from a distance.
Yeah.
I was still in Cutco until 2012, right? Actually, technically 2011. And so when I left my opportunity there with Cutco and wanted to move back to Florida, I went to college here in Tampa. I went to University of Tampa. But when I graduated from UT, I went home, ran my Cutco division and team for almost 10 years up there. And every winter said to myself, I have to get back down to Florida. Right? I just kind of got sick of the cold weather and it was ready for time for a change. So in 2012, we decided to move, myself with my fiance at the time, who's now my beautiful wife, and we started our family that next year here in the Tampa Bay market. So we got that going then, and the people, like I said, when I moved back down to Tampa, there was a buddy of mine from college who had approached me about starting an energy business, and he knew my background, which was again 1099 sales and in team building and interviewing and training and all those things. And so we worked together on this energy company for about 8 months and had some traction with it. But we kind of had a falling out and decided to part ways. It's the whole story of how friends who go business together, there's all kinds of nightmares. Thankfully, we're still friends. We're good.
Don't do that.
I know it. We learned the hard way. We definitely did not see eye to eye on a few things.
Yeah, that's a good way to lose a friend.
But thankfully, we're still friends. So I think we kind of ended it soon enough that we had some strain there for a while, but we're good.
Yeah.
We're definitely good now.
I did that once with a friend, and we're friends, but it could have gone bad, but
exactly.
It turned out good.
Yeah, I think it turned out good for us as well. And that's kind of how I got it started with N2. When I left when we ended that little partnership, I had some friends from the Cutco business who were like, you should check out this thing called N2. It's growing, it's going well for me. And so I trusted a couple of their opinions, and I had talked about some of the guys. And so that's how I got into it. I went through my initial training in the end of the summer of 2011 is when I went through that training, and then I launched my first franchise with Snell Isle, as I said, in January of 2012 of that year.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was good. It's been a good journey. It's amazing how that was over 10 years ago now. Time flies, doesn't it?
Starting in sales, working your way up the ladder, staying at a company for a long time, learning a lot along the way, and then ended up owning your own company. That's nice.
Yes, it's been fun. I definitely enjoyed it.
I can see that. And this magazine has to be very successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've worked hard to just try to have a great brand that, people respect and care about. At the end of the day, if we're adding value to the real estate community, I think that's really the core, principle of what we believe in, what we want to do. It's been a great way to network with some great top producing agents, which is also good because, like I said, I like investing in real estate. So having those conversations and seeing what those opportunities look like is always a positive. And like if we can bring some great vendor partners together and make sure that we can help strengthen those relationships with the agents and the vendors, then I know we're making a positive impact. So that's really what it's all about.
I think so. And this is something that has been, I think, needed really for a long time, because it's kind of bundling all the realtors and everything all together. But now, segmenting in the same, we have something just for these stars out there.
Yeah.
Is great. And I'm sure, I know realtors, and they have egos. They have very large egos, and they probably just absolutely love this concept in this magazine.
Yeah, I think it's neat because it's one thing if you're trying to promote yourself, but
Yes.
if you have a third party who's backing you up,
Absolutely.
and saying, you know what, this person truly is a real producer, and that way when they're put on our magazine or put on our cover or any section we do, it's a third party, vouching for you and saying, based on your hard work and based on your production, based on your volume, you deserve to be called a real producer, right? And so that's really what it is and how it's worked for us. So I think the agents do appreciate it. And I, like I said, the awards banquet I think is a great event that we do to really show them some love and help them see what it means to be a real producer. We usually have some videos there that kind of paint the picture for the number of top agents that we feature all throughout the country in this national franchise. And so I do believe coming soon there's going to actually be a national event that the 110 markets will produce together, where we will bring top producing real estate agents, not just from the Tampa Bay market, but from all of our markets, and run a national event for them as well. So that's yet to come.
Nice. So not only can you learn locally, but you can learn
Nationally, exactly.
nationally.
Yeah, that would be the objective. So there's still
That's gonna be a big
details on that
success.
as to how it would work, but I do believe that's going to be coming in the near future.
Nice. Nice. Well, I think this publication is wonderful, and like I told you before, there's probably a lot of companies that want to get in front of these agents, and I think it's a really nice thing that you're doing for these top producers, because they do work really hard. I know a lot of real estate agents. I have a lot of friends, that just work every single day. They're getting phone calls 24 hours.
Yep.
Some at 3:00 in the morning, people call them, and
For sure.
having to drop everything to run out and show a house, and giving up their weekends to have open houses, and they work hard. And this is nice that you have appreciation for them.
Yeah, I've really even I've always, like I said, loved real estate, but now that I've interviewed probably about 300, I've personally interviewed probably over 300 top producing agents in the last 2 or 3 years. And I've learned a lot of their stories, and, I have grown even more of a respect and an admiration for what it takes to really be a real producer, not just in the Tampa Bay market, but just in any market.
Yeah.
And so you're right. They work their tails off.
They
They deserve the success that they've built. And, it's not cut out for everybody,
I always laugh, like, all these people, well, if you don't have anything else to do, well, I'm going to go be a realtor.
Right.
It's like, oh, not that easy.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I tried to sell for a while when I got my license, because my sister's a broker, and I went out and I was doing marketing before that, but went in to kind of help her out for a little bit. And I probably could have been okay with it, but just found out it just wasn't my jam.
Yeah.
But I need to be more on the marketing side of thing. That's where my happy place was. But just realizing everything that you have to do to, keep these clients happy, and
Yeah.
all the different things that can happen during a transaction. And
You got to be flexible. You
You
got
have
to
to
be
be
able to roll with the
flexible.
punches. Yes.
Yeah,
It
so-
can be it can be an emotional roller coaster, right? Up and down.
Yeah,
on
like you
every-
do all this work, and all of a sudden they back out the last minute, and all these different things can happen. And it's just, I was like,
Yeah, it's not cut out for everybody.
marketing.
No doubt. It takes a special breed to actually succeed in it and to do it well.
I have a lot of respect for them, for sure.
No doubt. And the thing about real estate that's interesting is it's not a very hard barrier of entry to get into it, right? I mean, you can get a license over a weekend if you just want to get into real estate. So because of that, it really, I think, makes it even more true and pure, because the people who thrive in it and succeed in it, it wasn't just because they invested a bunch of money to go to school for 8 years, like some doctors do or some lawyers do, and they kind of just, spent a ton of time in education and kind of earned their stripes through that area in order to become a doctor, right? Or to become a lawyer. But if you're a great real estate agent, it's a a world that anybody can get into, and you really separate yourself through your will, right? And your desire and your ability to execute goals and plans and systems. And that really speaks a lot as to what it means. And if someone's buying or selling a home, I think it matters to want to work with an agent who knows what they're doing, right? And is out there actually proven with a proven track record of success. So that's really what we try to do is spotlight who these people are.
And I think in today's environment with a lot of people, everybody being online more, people not answering their phones as much, trying to promote your brand, get it out there, you have to do a lot more work. I know that's frustrating for a lot of agents, is I have to put myself out on social and do all these different things, and it's a lot more than back when I was an agent, what we had to do compared to what they have to do now.
It's a noisy world out there.
It is a noisy world.
No doubt. I think I read somewhere that like 20 years ago, and you know this as a marketing person, in order to get a response, it was like 7 impressions, right? In order to get a response, now the stats show it's like 29, right? Just because we're so bombarded with impressions and we see it everywhere we go. And so the concept is still true, like consistency is important, and being seen regularly builds trust and builds credibility, but it just takes longer to build that trust and to build that credibility. And so
you have to be consistent with it.
You do. And most people don't have the patience for that.
No.
Right. It's true.
It's hard enough with what you're doing on a daily basis, yet having to do all that kind of work. But those that are doing it are doing a really great job.
Yeah, for sure. And so, it's nice to know that every time we produce an issue, every agent that's in that issue has proven that, and that they, in some way, shape, or form, deserve the recognition that they're getting.
Yep, I can see that. That's great. Well, thank you for being on Learning Curves today.
No doubt. It was my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for allowing me to talk about the platform. And if we can help anybody, like I said, you can, if you're an agent and you're curious about receiving the magazine, or you want us to check our list and see, hey, I did over 11 million. Why am I not getting it? Well, if you did over 11 million, you should be getting it for this year. So reach out to us on Facebook or on our website, and we can double check that and get you on our list, either digitally or electronically. And you can, follow us at Tampa Bay Real Producers as our public page for more about the spotlights and what we do.
Great. And we'll make sure to share all those links in the show notes so you can get to them quickly, your website and social media pages where they can find you online.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, it was nice having you. And thanks for joining this week. We'll see you again next week on Learning Curves.
Second Soul Studios is a full-service production studio with capabilities for photo, video, podcasting, editing, co-working, and more. Our photo video studio has a number of different backdrop choices and props to choose from. We also have a gourmet kitchen set, or if you're an upstart podcaster, you'll love our 4-person podcast studio. So what are you waiting for? Visit secondsoulstudios.com to book a tour today.